What's going on, everybody? This is Cody, the home theater hobbyist, and I kind of want to talk to you guys today about reasons why you should watch The Mandalorian. I know a lot of you have heard about The Mandalorian and you've heard just how good it is, and you've probably put it on your list as a movie or a show that you're going to watch at some point in the future. Well, I think now is the perfect opportunity to go ahead and watch The Mandalorian, and again, that's what I want to talk about in this video. Now, first and foremost, I am a casual Star Wars fan. I'm not a super fan. I know something about it, but not a ton. I've watched all the movies, but most of them I've only watched one time, not multiple times. I don't know much about the backstory, i.e. I have not watched Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that. Again, just a casual fan, but I have really enjoyed The Mandalorian. I mean, honestly, I've enjoyed it so much that I've considered watching Clone Wars, right? I've considered getting a little bit more up on the backstory of the show. I've even listened to a couple of Mandalorian-based podcasts just so I can understand what super fans are talking about. So yeah, I like it a lot, and it has kind of pulled me into the Star Wars universe more so than I ever have. And honestly, that's probably the biggest reason why you should watch it, is because it's just that good. But let's talk about it in this video. So let's start off by giving you just a little bit of backstory. First and foremost, The Mandalorian is a show on Disney Plus. That is Disney's streaming media service. Now, to get that service, you need to have the app on your television or on a streaming device. It launched at the end of 2019, so it's really newer TVs that are going to have the app. But if you don't have the app, you can use things like the Roku platform, Amazon Fire TV, NVIDIA Shield, Android TV, Apple TV, those types of things to get the app. And I will put links in the description below to a few of those boxes so you can check them out if you need it. Now, Disney Plus costs $6.99 here in the US, so for $7 a month, you can get a great service and watch this particular show. And honestly, I think it is well worth $7 a month for what you get. The Mandalorian so far has produced 2 seasons, and that is my first point. There are only 2 seasons. So to get into it now, it's not all that daunting. I mean, if you got into a show and they're like, oh, there's 7 seasons to watch or something like that, that can be a little bit overwhelming. Well, in this case, since it only has 2 seasons, you don't have to worry about that. And speaking of the 2 seasons, the good news is the second season ends with a little bit of closure on some things, and that kind of helps because, again, you kind of get a little bit of closure. I mean, there's definitely some questions, so it can lead to the 3rd season, but there is some closure, and so that's my first point. There are only 2 seasons, so now is a great time to get in. Now that brings me to my next reason why you should consider watching The Mandalorian, and that is the episodes themselves. Each of the 2 seasons have 8 episodes, so there's a total of 16 episodes, and the episode length is anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes or so they're not super long. I think the longest episode's right around 55 minutes, but they all follow a similar format in that they all generally start off with a recap that is skippable. Disney does allow you to skip the recap, and you can also skip the intro. So you can cut, let's say, 1.5 minutes, even 2 minutes off the front of it because you've already seen that content and get right into the meat of the episode. There are no commercials during the episode, so you can just watch it on through. And you can also skip the end credits. So you can take a 35-minute episode and maybe watch it in, let's say, 28 minutes or something like that. So it becomes really easy to digest, and you can kind of just get through the episodes just a little bit quicker just by skipping the recap, intro, and the end credits. The next reason you should consider watching The Mandalorian is because it looks fantastic. The sets look very authentic. Quite frankly, it is movie caliber sets. It's also movie caliber action and graphics and CGI and stuff like that. I mean, again, it is a TV show, but it looks like a movie that you're paying $7 for. And we all know that movie theater tickets cost more than $7 these days. So that is one reason. The other reason is because it's on Disney streaming service and they give you the highest quality video that we can get today, including 4K UHD, so 4K resolution, and Dolby Vision HDR. Now, you have to have a TV that can take advantage of those things, but if you do, it's going to look fantastic. But if you don't, you got a 1080p TV, obviously you can watch it in 1080p. You don't have to worry about that. But if you do have the higher quality TVs, or the latest, I guess I should say, TVs, you can take advantage of those particular features. They also release it in the latest 3D audio format known as Dolby Atmos. So you can have, a nice surround where you've got all your surrounds and your overheads and things like that, and your subwoofer working and stuff like that. So they offer that. But again, if you don't have a Dolby Atmos sound system, it will, let's say, fold down into a 5.1 system if you have that, or even your 2-channel speakers and stuff like that. Now, the soundtrack itself, I think it sounds pretty good, but I've definitely heard, better soundtracks. This is not as dynamic as some of the other soundtracks I've heard, and I wish they had just a little bit more bass, but again, it does sound good. So the good news is the quality is there. The video looks good, it looks cinematic, and it sounds cinematic for the most part. Now, the next reason you should consider watching The Mandalorian is the story itself, and particularly the pacing. The story, the overall arching story, is about a guy who's going about a job. And while he goes about these jobs, he meets different people on these different planets, and he, does different things with them and for them. And it is paced quite well, because typically The Mandalorian is only dealing with, 1, 2, 3 characters. So there's not a whole bunch of characters that you have to learn and remember where they came from and all of this backstory. You can just watch it and enjoy the show. Now, as far as pacing is concerned, I would say, especially in season 1, it has a moderate pace. It's not breakneck speed, and I actually like it because, again, it kind of allows the episode or, the scenes just to kind of breathe a little bit. I mean, there are different episodes where you've got the Mandalorian flying in his spacecraft and he's just flipping switches and doing different things like that. So it's not hugely fast paced. Now, season 2 does pick up the pace just a little bit, not a ton. It's not breakneck speed, but it does pick the pace up a little bit and adds a few more characters here and there. So you get a little bit more action, a little bit, a few more things going on. But again, it kind of keeps that same relatively moderate pace, and I think that's definitely a good thing. Another reason to watch The Mandalorian is because it is well written. And what I mean by that is you don't have to be a Star Wars super fan to understand what's going on, because honestly, they are introducing a lot of new characters. So everybody's kind of on the same level playing field. But when they do have characters that do have a little bit of a backstory, they do a good job of explaining who the person is and what their capabilities are, whether it be verbal or visually, and that kind of helps you know what's going on. So if you are new to the franchise and don't know anything about it, you don't feel lost. But, if you are a super fan, you know who the person is, and they don't waste a whole lot of time. So again, it is well written to kind of help you along without having to know all the backstory. Now, the final reason why I recommend you watch The Mandalorian on Disney Plus is basically all of the things I've said kind of wrapped up. And it is I guess I should say, simplicity of the story and what's going on in it. I mean, there are great visual effects. All of these things are great, but the simplicity of the story is really good. And it's written in a way that you understand the main character's motivations and everyone else's motivations. You can't, or you shouldn't, get lost when watching this show. It is an action adventure. And so you kind of want to see some different things happening, and there are definite, explosions and lightsabers and, battles and things like that. But at the same time, you understand why these people are doing, for the most part, what they're doing. And that is a definite good thing. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, the way you explain it kind of sounds boring. It's not boring. It's really not. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of action. There's all sorts of things. But again, I think the simplicity of it is something that a lot of people like, including super fans, because I think a lot of them, it kind of reminds them of the first Star Wars, A New Hope. It's just kind of got a simplicity to it that's really cool, and I like it. So if you enjoy action adventure stories, I think you should definitely watch this one. And if you've seen it, drop me a comment in the comment section below. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and then drop me a comment in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, and obviously comment. We'll talk to you next time.